Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the From Cameras to Couches podcast. I, as usual, am your host, Zach Davis.
And I am Emmy Davis.
And we are rounding up some stuff that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. We finally are getting the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. So we've seen a lot. There's been a lot that's come out over the past few weekends. A lot of horror, a lot of rom-com-y stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad. We'll discuss more later, but it's been an interesting couple of weeks. We're kind of in the post-rush of, like, most of the Oscars movies have been out of theaters for a while. Some of the smaller stuff is finally getting the opportunity to get onto screens at some of the smaller and more personable cinemas around. But there have been a few big budget projects that have been pretty fun to check out this past couple of weeks, and some that have the biggest budget that have been the least fun. But We'll continue on with that in mind. So let's talk about some other stuff that's happened in the past couple of weeks. For starters, Rooney and Kate Mara are starring in a new Werner Herzog movie, which is really cool. They're a good duo. He likes working with siblings, so that'll be interesting. We got a trailer for the Fantastic Four, the new Marvel project.
Yay!
Yippee.
Yay.
We'll discuss the current state of Marvel affairs at some point in this podcast. I don't know at what length, because I don't know how much patience I have for it at this point, but the trailer was warmly received overall.
It seems like people are somewhat excited about this one.
It seems like they're liking the shift in tone, and it just looks different from what they've done before, but also, like, I don't know, kind of samey to like some bold swings like WandaVision. Also just looks like a TV show.
I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll find out. But got new Mission Impossible stills from set. Awesome. We also got a still from the set of The Odyssey, which confirmed Mr. Matt Damon as Odysseus. Don't know if that's going to be like a new age, young age kind of thing.
I was going to say, because isn't Tom Holland confirmed to be starring in it?
I'm wondering if it's going to function like much in obvious Nolan tone of, like, we don't have a complete chronological telling of the story. Who knows? It'll be interesting regardless. We've been sitting here covering it for weeks. We might as well rename this the Odysseus podcast.
Maybe they'll have him as his son, because his son plays like a big part at the end of the book, and maybe they'll intertwine that more.
Yeah, that could be
deeply.
I don't know, because if they do like anything from the Iliad, they will have to have a younger version of him. So maybe it's that bleeding into the Odyssey, and then
maybe. I was gonna say, but it is just the Odyssey. I don't know.
I heard there's a giant paper mache Cyclops that's been pretty cool.
Exciting. I love the Odyssey.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Here's one that's a true bummer. Beyond the Spider-Verse was delayed to 2029. This is the third film in the new Sony Into the Spider-Verse series starring Miles Morales as Spider-Man, and
the initial release date was like April of last year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last year. While Marvel has been like crumbling bit by bit, this has stood tall as like one of the most ambitious animated projects in the medium, and it's really fantastic. And both of the current movies are really great. There's been quite a lot of trouble going on at Sony Animated Pictures since the last one came out. There are several reasons for this, but one of them that's been more publicized is the relationship between Haley Steinfeld and Shameik Moore, the stars that play Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, and they're kind of it's weird. If you've been on, he has Twitter a weird obsession with her,
basically, and like he just kind of
it's
says like not quite inappropriate things, but they
really just toe that line. You need to be talking about to people that you're going to be professionally in a recording booth with but who am I to talk? This is just, it's ridiculous. It's weird behavior, but that's one of the reasons that this has been delayed. The other much bigger reason is because of the strikes that happened a couple years ago, which kind of crumbled the project out from under itself. There were several rewrites that I heard, and then it's just not really pieced together. And you have to have this like methodically plotted out. You can't improvise for stuff like this, because you have to animate every frame of it. But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer. So they're saying the voice recording won't even be done until 2027, which is just ridiculous.
Won't even start until 2027.
Yeah, and then the movie should be coming out in 2029, which is a real shame, because the last one was fantastic, and I thought it was like the first one is mind blowing, and the second one was just as good. And
if this is if we wait this long, and it's a bummer,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm holding out hope for it, but I'm also, that production company has also done really cool stuff like the Mitchells versus the Machines and projects like that. So I'm hoping that we'll get to see a couple more things in the meantime. But still an interesting spot to be in. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about something that hits a little closer to home for me down in Maryville than it does for some of the Knoxville people, because it is a regal town up in Knoxville. But AMC A-list subs members are making some changes. You are now allowed to see 4 movies a week, which is just rad. I'm glad that they gave me that opportunity. I have not been seeing near my limit of 3 movies here lately.
I've been getting close.
I've
been getting a little close.
Yeah, it's really great to have the A-list stubs membership. And Regal also, Regal has the IMAX screens, but they also have the upcharge for the IMAX screen if you have the unlimited thing anyway.
Yeah,
and it's still like it's $7 to go see an IMAX movie on top of the $22 a month or whatever it is. But
I really considered getting the Regal subscription, but I think the AMC one is so much more worth it.
Yeah, it depends on your mileage. Like if you're willing, if you're willing to travel up to Knoxville, which is a 40-ish minute drive to that theater, and do that for some of the bigger stuff, it's totally worth it. But if you're doing it all the time, it kind of becomes an expense in and of itself. Anyway, I'm talking about my personal budget. So, the rights for James Bond have been sold to Amazon. This is a really damning one.
This is gonna be so bad.
Yeah,
who are they gonna make James Bond?
Prime Video has not been very successful with its book adaptation stuff. The graphic novel, I will say they've been doing a little bit better. They've got The Boys. That's like their leading thing. And probably will be forever, but
too.
Yeah, stuff like Wheel of Time and Rings of Power and stuff like that, just not good. And for James Bond to have such a storied history, I don't know. This last generation of Bond was really great, and there have been other generations that are just really bad, and I feel like it's going to go through a tumultuous time, but we'll find out. Maybe they'll make a Jack Reacher out of James Bond.
Sic bis disintegratum.
Indeed. And that's the way things crumble cookie-wise. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is starring a new Scorsese movie. This is a continuation in some ways of the news that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, where he is going to be starring in The Wrecking Machine. I think that's the name of it, but it's a new Safdie brothers movie where he plays a wrestler basically, and I think it is like a rehabilitation of his acting ability. Or an attempt to show it, and I think this is a continuation of that. For starters, awesome. Scorsese's making another movie. I love Killers of the Flower Moon. It's 3.5 hours long, and he's very old. He's getting up there, but I cannot believe that he put together a movie that awesome.
He just needs to keep making.
Just keep it going, sir. Just keep it going. I've been on a Scorsese streak here lately. This will be interesting for Dwayne, because it could be something similar entirely in the fact that he's making a bold shift into like some art housey stuff, but what Tom Cruise is doing in Magnolia, where it's just like, okay, we're in the middle of Mission Impossible stuff, and we're coming up on like more Mission Impossible and The Last Samurai and things like that, but we're also gonna do Magnolia.
I love Tom Cruise in Magnolia.
It's fantastic, but I would be amazed to see Dwayne like successfully pull off these super dramatic roles, but if he does it, I will absolutely be like, all right, high five, you got it. I just don't know. I don't see that be like being a guy that can have a convincing breakdown on screen, because he's just so pristine in every way. And I feel like this would be the opportunity to like rehabilitate that idea about
I'm just really curious
what he's capable of.
I just have to see it.
And to be completely honest, I do not like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Really. I'm not in the slightest. I could care less one way or another. But if you can do it, I will absolutely be there for it. I don't know if it will probably be like a Brendan Fraser's back with The Whale, let's give him an Oscar kind of thing. But
oh my gosh,
granted,
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I'm not dissing that Oscar. I think it was well and truly deserved. But it could be like just the story of it is too good to resist for people. Anyway, that's about it for the news. So let's go on to the box office. Let's talk about the box office. And at the top of the box office, as has been touted by the marketing team, continues to come up on my ad space, but Captain America, Brave New World. It's the number 1 movie 2 weeks in a row worldwide at the box office. 28 million this weekend, bringing it to 141 million in total. Yippee.
People love Marvel.
We'll continue on my
People
thoughts.
People will always go see Marvel.
It's consistent. I mean, I don't know if that's the budget for the movie. That's my ultimate question: is that enough for the budget to be covered? Which the answer is probably no, because those movies cost a ridiculous amount to make and look like garbage anyway. Moving on. The Monkey was number 2, Osgood Perkins' new movie. Emily's going to say some stuff about that. I have not gotten to see it yet. I've heard it's pretty awesome. But that brought in 14.2 this weekend, which was half of what Captain America brought in its second weekend, but whatever.
Captain America.
It's an R-rated horror movie.
I'm sorry to backtrack a little bit, but the budget was $180 million, and it brought in 141 as of right now.
Okay, well.
Or as of this weekend.
That's not flop. But
no.
I don't know. That's still not good. That can't be. There's so much of this going around right now. There's so much of like we're banking on this next project to save us, and like the Fantastic Four, is that going to be that for Marvel? I don't know. I don't want to talk about Marvel.
You're going to have to talk about Marvel in a minute.
I will always be talking about Marvel.
All right. The Monkey. Back to The Monkey.
The Monkey. Money, money, money for The Monkey. Paddington in Peru was number 3 at the box office. Congratulations, Paddington in Peru. I hope this one stays in for a while and washes out the stain that has been Mufasa on the box office for the past couple of weeks, and people bring their kids to see something actually entertaining. I've heard this one is pretty good. I've
never seen a Paddington movie, but I've heard...
I watched the first 2 and then did not go see the third one. But I will go check it out. I'm hearing it's not wonderful. As good as the next 2, but I hear 2 is undoubtedly the better of the first 2. But Dogman is also up there in the box office, number 4 this weekend, which means it's been like a quiet release weekend for the past 2 weeks, other than the fact that we've just gotten like a couple of slasher movies, and those didn't really last very long. Those didn't last very very big at the box office. I mean, Companion is already on streaming or on VOD. I have a feeling that stuff like Hard Eyes is going to be there pretty soon.
Oh, for sure. Hard Eyes and Love Hurts will be there in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Love Hurts is going to get some kind of like VOD second revival, because it did not perform very well. But we'll move on with the roundup. So we've got a couple of things to talk about. I'm going to talk about Hard Eyes, Parasite, and Captain America. Emily, you're going to talk about Companion.
Oh, no, I talked about Companion already. I'm going to talk about
you did.
Hard Eyes, Love Hurts, The Monkey, and Bring Them Down.
Okay, fire away. What have you got?
Okay, well, let's go ahead and start with Hard Eyes, because we both saw that, but not together.
Yeah.
I didn't take any notes during this movie. I kind of forgot that I'd seen it when I was gathering my notes for the podcast today. I was literally like, what was that 4th movie I saw? And I had to go to my Letterboxd, and I was like, oh yeah, that movie.
Yeah. I had a fun time with this one.
It is fun. It's enjoyable. The sweet little girl that checked my ticket and whatnot, she was like, this is my favorite movie of the year. I was like, all right. And I went in, and the first death scene is really good.
Her favorite movie of last year was Terrifier, guaranteed.
Probably. Well, no, I don't know. It's cute. I mean, I guess the acting's not great.
It's really not. It's like,
aside from the first death scene, I really wasn't like enjoying it, I guess.
Yeah, it is incredibly amateur and like B-movie horror stuff, but it has a fun blend of like romantic comedy with the slasher stuff
that was very
that mechanically works, and I will say didn't keep me on my toes, but certainly was engaging enough. Pretty much everything between like the kill moments and when the kills blend with the romance is kind of boring.
Yeah.
But it's still like most of the kill moments are pretty fun.
Like towards the end, like they're all trapped in the police station or what have you, and that's kind of. I guess, is that in the middle? I don't even remember. But
yeah.
And like the deaths. Okay, first one was super good. Saw it in the trailer. There's one, and if you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about with the, what is it, a tire iron?
Yeah.
When he like slams the girl head through it.
Cool. There was
saw it in the trailer. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stop showing us everything in the trailers. I beg of you. I'm over it.
The secret sauce is you just have to avoid the trailers.
I have been trying to, but
it's so hard to when we're watching movies all the time.
And I also I gotta get my good seats. I have my seat.
Yeah. And stuff like Mickey 17, like I've seen the Mickey 17 trailer so many times now, and I'm just like, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about the moments I have seen from this when I watch the movie. But
right.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty fun. I did not like. I gave it
It's
3 stars. It was not anything that like moved me or anything, but I was like, this works. This is okay. I also got a soft spot for all the Seattle stuff.
Yes, me too. I was very much enjoying how I recognized a lot of streets and stuff like that. But like I would like to see this formula or format, I guess, again with the rom-com horror crossover, because I feel like that's not something that has been successful, if not just like tried before. Like I can't think of a single like really truly romantic comedy horror movie like that.
I mean, typically it's just spoof when they do stuff like that.
But I mean, I would enjoy seeing that kind of story if it was done a little better and didn't have the girl from Kickin' It in there.
Yeah, I at the end of the day, it was an okay night out at the movies. It was not something that I walked away from and I was like, well, completely wasted my time. But it was certainly something that I was like, well, that'll put a Band-Aid on it for tonight. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna do a brief blurb about Parasite because I went to a like late night showing of Parasite and it was the IMAX re-release and it was really cool. And that is all I'm gonna say.
Okay, awesome. Since you said that, I'm gonna go ahead and say I went to a showing of Punch Drunk Love at Central Cinema, and
good one.
It was really cool, and I really cool. Like that little theater.
We have a weekly highlight recorded of Punch Drunk Love. We'll be releasing that sometime in the next week or 2.
On to it. Love Hurts. That's what I was going to talk about. That movie, because I was like, oh, rom-com.
How's old Kiki doing?
He's a fun little guy. I just absolutely adore watching him in fight scenes. He is just so much fun. And just, I do love him.
He's really talented.
He truly is. And he's just a little guy. And I love seeing a classically trained martial artist, like, actually fighting in a movie. Marshawn Lynch, let's get him in more of these kinds of movies. These silly, stupid little movies.
What, did you see the one where it was about the, I think it was Bottoms? It was the lesbian wrestling group at the high school?
And,
yes, yeah.
The girl from Shiva Baby.
Yeah, I had not seen it, and I've heard it's like one of the best comedies.
I've heard that too. I really do want to watch it. That's been on my list for a long time.
But Marshawn's in that, and I was just thinking about that.
I didn't know that.
He plays the teacher that like gives them the idea to.
That's even more of a reason to see it. I didn't know he was in movies like that.
Taste the Rainbow.
I love it. I love Marshawn Lynch. I have a soft spot in my heart. I love him. La La Land ass soundtrack at some points. They just kind of kept. It's. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a really fun shot at some point during one of the fight scenes where like something gets thrown into a microwave and then they do like this shot inside the microwave and it was fun.
It was like turning around
and catching on fire and that was super enjoyable. I didn't realize until about halfway through the movie that the girl I was watching her in the car, the main girl, I don't remember her name. It's been a couple weeks since I've seen this at this point. And I was like, oh, she's Anita from West Side. I was like, that's why I know her. And I got really excited because we'd just seen that. Very like Deadpool-esque fight scenes, just with the gratuitous violence and crazy silliness.
It's become its own brand at this point, and it's something apart from something like John Wick. And somehow John Wick is able to take itself seriously, and people pull it off. And the Sean Levy project is just to be like as comedic as possible with moments like that. And sometimes it works.
Yeah,
for me,
the story is kind of a bit of a mess and very blah for a majority of this movie, and kind of like there's this weird thing where the brother who's the bad guy is like addicted to boba, and it's like I thought for a second they did that to make it a lower rating, but the movies are. Yeah. And like he's like, I need the boba. It's weird.
That's just kind of the general issue with that stuff, right? I mean, because think about Nobody. Like, nobody, people love Nobody. Like, people love that movie.
I know.
And it is so nonsensical and stupid.
I really did enjoy this movie. Like I said, the story's a little bit of a nightmare, but the fight scenes make up for it a lot. They're super enjoyable. My favorite part of the movie, there's a character named Raven, and Marshawn Lynch is fighting him, and he literally says, bitch-ass Raven, and then goes, beast mode, and tackles him through a wall.
Hell yeah.
That was amazing. I
do appreciate
it took
that.
a lot to not stand up in the theater and applaud in that moment.
Be
I
that
loved
12th
it.
man. Be that 12th man in the theater.
For real! I loved it so much.
That's sick.
I loved it so much. I talked about it the whole rest of the day.
Highlight. That's a highlight.
It was.
Sure.
I love you, Marshawn.
Okay, I'm gonna do Captain America before I.
Blessings, peace and blessings upon you.
All right, let's talk about Captain America: Brave New World. So this is a continuation of the Captain America franchise, which is a long-running thing within Marvel. This is a sequel to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a TV show that Marvel released on Disney Plus that is incredibly middling and has middling reviews.
Incredibly
This
middling.
is Sam Wilson, formerly known as the Falcon, taking over and taking up the mantle for Captain America, as was aforementioned, or as was shown at the end of Avengers Endgame and continued through The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This movie is also in some ways a sequel to the 2007 The Incredible Hulk, and it is stupid. And I really was hopeful for this one because somebody over at Marvel had a really good idea to cut the trailer for this to be like a political thriller, and I was like, that could be cool, that could be interesting. We could have like some very actiony Snowden-esque stuff going on here. Instead, the movie was stupid, and it is the writing on the wall. Like it is the most generic A-brand Marvel thing you could have asked for. It is so, like, I don't know how you get this stuff out the door. I don't know how you're like, we have an audience for this, surely, because people will go and see it. And people have been going and seeing it, and it's been making money, except it hasn't made all of its money back. And I just don't get it. Like, I'm so baffled by, like, the CGI in this is terrible. There is some genuine atrocity CGI going on in here. And
I saw a joke about they didn't CGI Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, so they just had extras bother him with Star Wars questions.
Yeah, they probably should have and made it more effective. I feel bad for Harrison Ford, and
I do
like,
too. You know he hated that,
and he doesn't because he likes the paycheck, but I don't know. Like whoever's PR person is, I'm gonna punch him in the throat because
he just wants to be Indiana Jones forever.
He should have so many cool roles under his belt by now, and he does, but they're all like not from the past 2 decades because he's just getting rammed into sequels and franchise movies like this. But this movie stinks. I was really bored by it. It's not like Venom: The Last Dance, just in your face, I'm going to be bad, but it's just boring. It's very like A, B, C. This is how we do it. And like the final fight doesn't even end with a fight. Like Sam Wilson fights Red Hulk for like 3 seconds, and then spoilers, it's Harrison Ford, and he like reminds him of his relationship with his daughter, and he calms down, and that's the end. That's the end of that. And you're just like, what's the point of this? And it all looks bad. And I credit Chris Ryan at The Ringer with this, but my most cynical take on this is just like buttering up American audiences for AI generated stuff. And like you are just going to get pulp, and that is what is easy to make, so that is what we were going to put out, and it's going to have a big enough budget behind it to where we can make it cheap with the rendering. And I don't know, but I'm very frustrated by this movie, and whatever I'm one grain of sand on a beach full of people that are like we're either going to see Captain America or not. It's not going to ruin our week. It didn't do anything like that for me, but it didn't do anything in general for me. So we'll just leave it at that. What would you like to talk about next?
I'll talk about a movie I did like. This is a movie very akin to like The Banshees of Inisherin. It's just Irish rage and like just quarrels, and I loved it. Bring Them Down. It's Barry Keoghan's new movie. I really don't have the director written down or anything like that. And I just kind of like, I did see this at the beginning of the month, so it's been a while. It's not super fresh on my mind, but I just have to talk about it a little bit because I loved it. Barry Keoghan just always is playing a weird little guy. He is like just playing the weirdest little guy, and
he's artistic.
in this movie, he's playing a weird little jackass, and I pray that somebody shows him Kneecap, because he's riding around with his friend, and they're blasting music and stuff, and it's all Irish rap, and I'm like, but no, and I know they didn't have the rights to Kneecap, obviously, but someone show this boy Kneecap. The cinematography is lovely in this movie. There is a shot of Barry Keoghan on like an Irish mountain in a blue jacket that just made me gasp. I loved it so much. So basically what this movie's about is there's this like shepherd, this little Irish shepherd guy, and they all live in this shepherding community, and back in his past he was with this woman, and they were in a car accident, and his mom was in the car too, and she died. And the lady ended up leaving him for multiple reasons, but that kind of was the big deal. And she marries this other guy and has a son with him, and like we're years and years down the road, and the son is Barry Keoghan. And there's kind of this beef between these two sheep farmers because of this girl, and Barry Keoghan is just like mad that his mom is like definitely in love with this guy, and there's so many like it starts with like them stealing a couple rams and saying that they just like came into their property and died, or like found them on their property dead or something, and then it escalates to like just sheep genocide. Like it oh my gosh, the way that it escalates is wild. I'm just going to talk about a couple other key moments that stood out to me in the movie, but there's this one shot of the main guy, and he literally like leaves his flock to go find the one sheep, and he's carrying the sheep like on his shoulders, and it's just it's just very nice. And it like as a Catholic,
I've never heard of that before.
As a Catholic, and it was just like I sat there and I was just thinking, because I mean the way that it's shot, it's dark, this sheep is sitting on his shoulders and he is like inhaling the wool, and I can't imagine the stench and like how tired he is, and I like that just was a very nice visual thing for me. I love Jesus. There was a perspective switch with no warning, and it kind of like jumped back in time, and it wasn't really well illustrated. It was a little bit confusing, and it threw me off for probably 10 minutes, and then I was like, okay, so this is what's happening now. And I have a note that says, as soon as Michael shows up back on screen, the tension is so back. I'm not really sure what that's in reference to, because like I said, it has been a while since I saw this, but it was a very tense movie, I'll tell you that much. It was, I think I rated it like 4.5 stars. I liked the heck out of it.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out at some point.
And like I said, just very Banshees of Inisherin, Irish Rage. Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Quality stuff. All right, how about the monkey, though?
The monkey is outrageously entertaining. These death scenes are like, I've never seen a Final Destination movie, but I've heard them like compared to that a lot, and I'll watch a Final Destination movie if it's like this.
I heard this is more like Rube Goldberg kind of mechanized. You know those machines that it's like a ridiculous amount of things to do one thing practical?
Yes.
I've heard it's a lot like that.
Yeah, very much so. Like a rat scurries across a rope and it breaks, and then like 2 minutes later, a harpoon shoots through somebody's stomach, and then it re-releases and pulls his guts out, and like it, very intricate death scenes, and like very creative and fun. And every single one of them was incredibly enjoyable. Theo James does a really good job portraying two people. Whoever the little boy that plays young Theo James is does a really good job portraying two people. I like The Monkey. The Monkey, a good movie. I really can't say too much about it because like spoilers and stuff.
Yeah,
but
I know the general outline of it, but I'm sure it's worth checking out at this point. I mean, I trust Osgood Perkins with this. Honestly, I think on the first or second episode of the show, we talked about the trailer for The Monkey, which had just come out at that time, and I said just write him a blank check and let him do what he wants for the next couple of years. And his first blank check was, hey, I have a bunch of ideas about how to kill people, and I'm going to fit them into the script.
And it's based off a Stephen King novel, too.
Yeah.
It's really well paced. Like, there really isn't much downtime, maybe a couple moments, but it works with what's happening in the movie, because there does need to be a little bit of, like, there is a need for dramatic moments. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I will say, I just talked about hating seeing movie trailers, but this trailer did a really good job of showing you a little bit, but not everything. And you still, like, you kind of, obviously, you know where it's going to end up, but
That's
yeah, like it was very intriguing, but not like showing it all.
And Neon is very smart about that. Like A24 is very smart about that.
Yeah.
And they're a great publishing brand. They've got so many Best Picture wins under their belt at this point, just because of the way that they smartly market things, or not just because, also because of the achievements of the movies. But awesome. Well. Yeah. That's. Do you have any others you want to shout out? Any movies you've seen? I mean, we'll be talking, or we have talked about Punch Drunk Love. We'll be publishing that one relatively soon. That's a fantastic one. But
I watched Marie Antoinette yesterday.
Yeah, that piece of news I forgot. The Brutalist is now available for VOD, so definitely check that out if you get a chance. It looks just as great. If you have a good TV, it looks really good at home. I thought it held up pretty well. They're very generous with the 70 millimeter or restoration or whatever, however they managed to make that digital, but it's fantastic. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll definitely catch you guys on the other side. There's not a lot going on over the next couple of weeks until Mickey 17, which is 2 weekends from now. We'll be kind of dead legging it. So I'll probably do a drop in on next week. We'll probably do a weekly highlight this week. And, we'll just kind of see. Yeah.
I'll be out of town next weekend, so we'll probably do for next week, I'll probably we'll probably drop our Punch Drunk Love highlight at that point.
And we'll kind of figure things out from there. But in the meantime, you guys stay warm with whatever polar vortex is rolling through whatever place of the world you're in right now. And
it's like 50 degrees outside today, and it was literally 20 degrees yesterday. I don't understand it.
Nicest thing ever, but we'll catch you on the other side of the weather.
Stay cool.
Bye.
Bye.